لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، نبدأ اليوم بالكتاب الصلاة. وما هو صلاة؟ فنعرفنا الصلاة في اللغة هو الدعاء، يعني بمعنى الدعاء، وفي اصطلاح الأفعال طيب. في اللغة الصلاة أوكي. ففي اللغة الصلاة بمعنى الدعاء، وفي اصطلاح يعني أفعال والأقوال من التكبير إلى التسليم مع النية. طيب, so today we begin with the chapter of Salah. طيب, what is Salah? Like today we say, I'm going to go make Salah, and we know what it means. But you should know the linguistic meaning, because what happens sometimes, the people of bid'ah, they will take a word in a hadith or a ayah and then they will try to switch it with you. For example, once we were in a debate with the people who were munkar of hadith, they were people who didn't accept hadith, they were kuffar. So when we told them, how do you make salah? They said, how do you make salah? So we told them, I was not the one who was supposed to be debating at the time. So the brother who was answering, he said, we make takbir, we make ruku, we make sujood. He said, but how do you make salat ala nabi? If you say that is salah, then we say salat ala nabi. You don't make sujood and ruku on the nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. So I had to step in this situation. Why? Because we take some things to be commonly understood amongst us. Istalahan, they are terminology we understand. But you should always know the linguistic, like when you talk about bid'ah, when you talk about kufr or anything, you should know the linguistic meaning. So linguistically, what does salah mean? As-salah means dua, a supplication. That is in Arabic, even before the Quran, the Arab, they used the word salah to mean dua. But there is the linguistic meaning and then the meaning in istalah, in Islamic terminology. In Islamic terminology, as-salah is used for the af'al, the actions, aqwal, the sayings, the recitations, min al-takbir, from the takbiratul ihram, from the beginning, ila taslim, until you make salam, until you perform the salam, with a niyya, ma'a niyya. This is salah. Whatever is covered within that is salah. Tayyib. And this is important to understand. When we talk about arkan of salah and shurut of salah, some of the ulama, they put a niyya amongst the arkan of salah. Other ulama, they put it as a shart from the shurut of salah. So now, with this definition that we understand, is niyya fard? Yes, it's fard. Is ruku' and sujood fard? Yes. So is niyya a shart or is it a rukn? Is ruku' and sujood a shart, or they're both fard, they're both obligatory? How do we differentiate? And this is an usul to understand. We differentiate by what is dakhil as-salah, what is within the salah are arkan. That is obligatory inside of salah are arkan. Those that are kharij of the salah are shurut. There are other, if you look at kashf al-qina', there is a lot of discussion on this issue. I'm not going to go deep, but I'm going to just give you that basic understanding. So now, having explained that, is niyyah a shart or a rukn? Shart. Why? Because you have to have it before you begin salah. You can't begin like you're just whatever, and then you're like, oh, I should pray dhuhr. No. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. So before you perform hajj, you need to have niyyah for hajj. Before you cross the miqat, you put the ihram, you make niyyah. Before you begin the takbir, you should have niyyah. So this is just, and I'm not even discussing niyyah. The whole point was to understand what are shurut and what are arkan. And then we'll talk about wajibat and sunan, insha'Allah ta'ala. Tayyib, we begin kitab al-salah. And before I get into the fiqh rulings, I want to explain the importance of Salah. Wallahi, yani if we dedicated a series of duroos for a year just on the importance and fadail and the wa'ad and wa'id regarding Salah, it would not be enough. But in a few minutes, I want to point this out because ilm should always be coupled with amal. Knowledge should always be with action, as best we can. We can't have brothers sometimes memorizing ahkam of salah and shuru and dalail and this and then they don't make salah. And they're making hujjah alayhim, upon them. Then the Quran will be either lak or alayk, as the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan in Mulakhas al-Fiqh, he gave some very beautiful short points. I will summarize from them. The first thing is, salah is the greatest of the physical ibadat. Tayyib, what does that mean? There is ibadah bil qalb, with your heart. And there is ibadah bil jism or badan, with your physical body. Tayyib? So, for example, what about tawheed? It begins and it is in the heart. Your belief in Allah. It has to do with, now when you say the shahada, you have action as well. Iman is in the heart, professed on the tongue, and in actions as well. But that aspect of getting shirk out of your heart and having tawheed, this is, of course, the most important thing. There is nothing in Islam more important than tawheed. And then aqidah. But from the physical actions, what are physical actions? Or hajj, when you give sadaqah, some aspects of zakat also have physical actions. You have many other, feeding the yatim, birrul walidain, so many great things. From all of the physical actions, the greatest responsibility that you have of salah. Why? First and foremost, we follow Islam in the light of dalail, proof. We don't follow Islam in the light of rai or opinion. The difference between Ashab al-Hadith and Ashab al-Rai. So in the light of clear proof, how do we know that? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Sahih Hadith, that is muttafaqun alayh, he said that Islam is built on 5 things. Bunya al-Islam al-khams. What is the first? Is the shahada. This is something that begins with the heart. The belief in one Allah is from the heart. And then after the shahada, after aqidah, after that, what is the next one? As-salah. So after that aqidah, as-salah. In the hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiyallahu anhu, also when he told the people, when he sent him to Yemen, and we'll discuss this a little bit later again, but as a proof, he told them to call them to tawheed. That's the first thing, to the oneness of Allah. And if they accept, what is the first thing you should order them with? As-salah. Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, he also mentions another fa'idah, another benefit. Why the salah is so important? He said because it has so many ibadat in it. What does it have? Qiraat of Quran. In your salah, every time you pray, don't you recite Quran? So qiraat Quran is in it. What does it have? A dhikr. You make tasbih, you say the hamd of Allah, you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, you say Rabbi ighfirli, Rabbi ighfirli. So many dua, the tashahhud and the other adhkar and dua. So it has dhikr and it also has dua. You make dua in it. You remember Allah and you make dua in it. Tayyib, it has ruku' and sujood. You make ruku' and sujood. Can you make sujood outside of salah as an ibadah? Yes. You don't make sujood for shukr? Right? Sujood al-tilawa. So this is another ibadah that is inside of salah. In salah, you combine all these ibadat, and this is another virtue and the greatness of salah. Tayyib. Next, as a dalil about the importance of salah. And this is a warning for us as well. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Shaqiq, who was a tabi'i, he said, كان أصحاب النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام يعني all the أصحاب, the صحابة of النبي, كان أصحاب يعني لم يقول بعدهم أو يعني أبو بكر عمر عثمان علي, لكن كان الصحابة يعني إجماعا. When he says the Sahaba of Rasulullah, he didn't say some of them. He didn't say the greatest of them. He didn't say Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, or Abdullah ibn Abbas or this. No, he said the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not consider leaving of any ibadah to be kufr illa salah, except for salah. And you think about it. Maybe somebody doesn't fast because they are sinners, yani they are bad. But they believe in fasting, they don't deny it. If you deny anything from the ahkam of Islam, it's kafir. But if you do it, if you leave it out of laziness, we say they're fasiq, not kafir. Not like the Khawarij. The Khawarij, they would take people who did kabair and things, made takfir on them quick. But we're not like this. The Ahl Sunnah don't do that. But there is one action from the actions of Islam that leaving of it ijma'an, by the consensus, and the best consensus, the consensus of who? As-Sahaba. The leaving of it was kufr, that is as-salah. In Hadith Abdullah bin Shaqiq, you can look at the sanad, Sahih Hadith. طيب? So, again, it shows the importance of salah. طيب. When we talk about salah, the beginning, the first thing is to understand what is before salah. And we call these shurut. Shurut or preconditions. Shurut of salah. طيب. The mu'allif, he gives a beautiful method, but it's a little complicated. So what I want to do is first I'm going to just break down the shurut to you in a organized, numbered manner with dalail. And then we'll get into the matan and its wording and its benefit, because the way the mutun are written is sometimes for people to get a lot of depth. So it's few words, but there's a lot of explanation. We want the tullab ilm to first understand how many shurut are there? تسعة. There are nine shurut of salah. طيب. Inshallah ta'ala, all of the brothers and sisters here watching or sitting should memorize these 9. طيب. You should know them by heart. When we talk about arkan, and we're not at that chapter yet, but just to say, how many arkan of salah? 14. You should memorize them by heart. How many wajibat? 8. You should memorize them by heart. Why? Why do you need to memorize them? Tayyib. Now, somebody may say, I make salah, but I don't know the shurut. Why do I need to know? Tayyib. Now, let's say you're making salah, and you realize I'm not facing the qibla. During salah, you realize I'm not facing the qibla. What do you do here? Tayyib. Now, do you have to? Tayyib. What if you made salah, you're done, you walk away, and you think, oh man, I wasn't facing the qibla. Tayyib. What if you have some najasa on your clothes during salah? Right? So you know the answers of many of these things, but how would you know if it invalidates your salah or not? Right? That's why it's fardul ayn. It's an individual obligation upon every Muslim to know these, so that you can protect your salah. There are 14 arkan of salah. Who cares? Who cares? We care. Why? Because if you make a mistake and you left out a wajib, you don't need to repeat it. You make sujood sahu. If you missed a rukn, you have to repeat it and make sujood sahu. If you miss sunan, you don't have to do anything. So now if you don't know them, then the problem gets to be is how will you rectify your salah? And that's why it's fardul ayn to know them, because fardul ayn to protect your salah and to correct it from mistakes. Tayyib. Shurut of salah. Awwal, what is the first? And by the way, as a recommendation, Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he has a book on shurut of salah, and it's very beneficial. There are the shuruh for it as well. You can get it especially, and it discusses arkan and things as well, but this is what it's called. طيب. أول الإسلام أو نقول يعني رجل أو امرأة مسلم. The first is Islam. طيب. Now, for each one of these, we can list many dalail, numerous dalail. But I will just give one or two just so you can understand with dalil, but not to go too deep into it. Tayyib. So in some of the books it may say yani Islam. In some of them it say yani Muslim. Same thing. And you don't get confused when you see a different word. The point is whether you call Islam the shart or being a Muslim, same thing. Tayyib. So what is the first shart? Islam. Tayyib. What is the dalil on that? Easy dalil which you can memorize as well. Tayyib. The hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiyallahu anhu, as we mentioned, and is muttafaqun alayh, yani al-Bukhari and Muslim have reported it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent him to Yemen, and he told him, you are going to a people that are people of Ahlul Kitab, yani they are the people of the book. So first thing, you call them towards the shahada, yani towards ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluh. The aqidah, yani to the oneness of Allah and the nabu'ah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the first thing. If they accept, then call them to Salah. Tayyib. If they accept, that means Salah is for the one who already accepts this. So even if you go to a kafir and you tell them, make Salah, they can be doing up and down, but there is no Salah. Why? Because this is the ibadah of a Muslim. So the first shart is Islam. Tayyib. The next, aqil or aql. The person has to be aqil, has to be of sane and sound mind. Or you can say aql, yani sanity or a sound mind. Tayyib. What do we mean by that? If there is a little child, like sometimes you see a little 2-3-year-old child, right? And they go and make salah. Here, can you say their salah is not accepted because they're غير عاقل? لا. طيب. This has to do with bulugh. I'm clarifying because I was watching a lecture from a sheikh and he confused these two. طيب. So what do we mean by aqil? There are 2 or 3 examples I will give and then you will understand. The first is somebody in a coma. If somebody's in a coma, they have no idea what they're doing. People in comas, sometimes they move. My grandmother, may Allah have mercy on her, from my father's side, she used to be very strict on salah. May Allah have mercy on her. Even when she was in a coma, when it came time for salah, she had no idea. She didn't talk to anybody. She would physically get up. She would go to make the actions of wudu, whether there was water or not, and she would make salah. My father, my mother, they were there. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed her. She was trained from her childhood to make salah. Even in a coma she would make salah. But is that a shar'i salah? La. Because there's no niyyah. There is not a conscious effort being made. So if somebody is in a coma, they don't have to make salah. It's not an obligation on them because they are out of their sanity. And if they make salah, it is not considered a shar'i salah. Tayyib, now there are a few things. If somebody's in a coma and they regain consciousness, do they have to make up those salah? There is khilaf and a long discussion. I'm not going to go into that. But this is one example. Another example. Somebody is insane. They're not in a coma, but they're insane. Yani they are nuts, crazy. Can we say they have to make salah? No. And can you say that if they make salah, that this is a shar'i salah? If they're insane, what about their wudu? What about their Quran? What about their arkan? They don't know any of that. Okay? So here, based on these examples, you will understand what aql here is referring to. Tayyib, what is the dalil? What is the proof that this is a shart from the shurut of salah? The sahih hadith that's reported by Abu Dawood, al-Tirmidhi, al-Nisa'i, Ibn Majah, Shaykh al-Albani, graded to be sahih in his takhrij of Abu Dawood. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam rufi'a al-qalam ala thalatha. The pen has been lifted on the 3. The child until he becomes baligh. Tayyib, the one who is asleep until he wakes up. And the one who loses their aql until they regain it. Tayyib. So this is a dalil to show the one who is غير عاقل, there is no qalam on him. Yani his deeds are not being written. Salah is not an obligation on him at that time. And if he prays, it will not be recorded from him. Yani it will not be from his amal. Tayyib, which brings us to the third البالغ أو بلوغ, يعني reaching the age of puberty or having that ability. Now this is where you should discuss little children. A little child may go and he makes sujood and he makes salah, he starts salah, and then in the middle of salah he may run away. Can you catch him and punish him like a 2, 3, 4-year-old like you would punish a grown man? No. Because they're children. Under bulugh, they don't have that obligation upon them. The first dalil for that is the hadith we just mentioned. About the 3. One of them is a child until he reaches that age. But another dalil, which I will mention as well, is also the authentic hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to teach our children salah when they are 7. And to punish them when they are 10 not making salah. Tayyib, now, here we see that at 10 a child may not be baligh, but you have to set that strict policy in place. When they are 7, you need to start telling them make salah. Now, does this mean if they're 6, you don't worry about their salah at all? No. And even younger than that, you can tell them start making salah. But at 7, you have to instruct them for 5 times salawat. You have to start making salah, but you don't punish them. Now if they get to 10, boys and girls, then here you have to make them establish salah, and if they do not, you punish them. Tayyib? So this also shows that under that age, you have no obligation. Here you start to develop the obligation. Tayyib. Which brings us to the 4th. Tayyib. What did we cover so far? Islam, Aql, Bulugh, or Tamyiz. You will find it both ways. Tayyib. The 4th, Raf' al-Hadath. To lift the state of hadath upon a person. Tayyib. And this is why it's so important to be in the durus and to learn dars after dars. Yani earlier we discussed what is hadath, so now we don't have to go back into it. Right? Those who missed the earlier classes, watch the videos because they develop. Tayyib. So what does that mean? Raf' al-Hadath. Tayyib. We talked about 2 types of hadath. Hadath al-Akbar and Hadath al-Asghar. If you are in the state of any of them, you cannot make salah. So before salah, you have to leave that. Tayyib. What is the dalil? أولا فقال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام الحديث متفق عليه لا تقبل الصلاة أحدكم إذا أحدث حتى تودع. أو في الرواية لا يقبل. In the riwayah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said the salah of one of you is not accepted if he is in a state of hadath until he performs wudu. Another hadith, لا wudu liman لا salah liman لا wudu له. طيب. There is no salah for the one that doesn't have wudu. طيب. Now this is hadith hadath al-asghar, but this is a dalil. For hadath al-akbar, we have so many dalal as well. The Sahaba who were junub, and Rasulullah ordered them to perform ghusl, to make salah. Tayyib. And there are ayat of Quran about wudu, إِذَا قُمْتُ أَحَدَكُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ, and all these dalail, but we're keeping it to a few. So what does that tell you? That the 4th shart is you cannot be in a state of hadath. What does that mean? That if you require ghusl, you have to make ghusl before salah. If you require wudu, then you have to perform wudu before salah. Tayyib. So here, I will bring another, some of the ulama, they put this as separate, but I will put it here, which is what? You cannot be in a state of hayd or nifas or junub. Tayyib. Why? Because in that state, for tahara, you need ghusl. And if you are during that state, you cannot perform ghusl. These are things that forbid you from salah. Tayyib. So, if you are in that state, you cannot make salah. You have to lift the state of hadath al-akbar and asghar before you make salah. So this is a warning, especially for some of our younger brothers, that they are sloppy with their wudu. When they go to make wudu, they're sloppy with it, especially at fajr. Right? So what do? They're quick in their salah, in their wudu. And what happens sometimes? A part of what is fard in wudu is left dry. And then they go make salah. Is that a salah accepted? La. Allah can have mercy on anybody, but from the ahkam, that salah is not accepted. So if your wudu is not correct, your salah is not correct. Somebody makes ghusl, but they don't make ghusl correctly. One brother we met in Venezuela, 40 years old. We were talking about ghusl, he didn't know how to make ghusl. He said, well, ghusl, we take water, I just throw it on my head, I'm out. Like, what about your legs and hands? Yeah, just throw it on your head, I'm good. No, you're not, bro. 40 years of age. And it's sad. Sometimes you meet some 70-year-old doesn't know how to make wudu. And this is fard al-ain. So if you don't perform your ghusl correctly, the fard ghusl, if you don't perform your wudu correctly, tayyib, and I want to emphasize this, we discussed this already, I just want a quick recap. What are the fara'id of wudu? Everything once except ghusl yadayn. So the face, the madmada, the istinshaq, istinthar, and the putting the water in the mouth, the nose, the hands, masah of the head, the ears, because they're a part of the head, the whole head, washing the feet, all of that, the arms, the elbows, all of that is fard in wudu. Some people say there's only 4 fara'id and they don't do madmada istinshaq. You see the hadith. And we hope that Allah forgives them for their mistakes. But imagine if you go in front of Allah and your wudu has not been correct your whole life. Tayyib. 5th, you understood the dalail? Ahkam, you good? Tayyib. 5th, دخول الوقت. The time for that salah has to have entered. Meaning, some of the, and this is personal experiences. I was with some brothers once, and we went to make wudu because we were going to perform maghrib. We were traveling. We came out, some brothers were making salah already. The time for maghrib hadn't entered. We could see, we were driving on the 5, so you could see the beach, you could see the sunset. The time for maghrib wasn't in. They were already praying. So when we came out after performing wudu, we told them, what are you doing? We're praying maghrib. Akhi, the time's not in. Khalas, I prayed already. What do you mean you prayed already? La. دخول الوقت. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained upon the mu'mineen the salah at specific times. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in many ahadith has explained those times in detail. And the dalil for this, a wadih dalil, is the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, that he came and he prayed with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he prayed one time at the earliest times of the salah. And the next time he came and prayed at the latest times of that salah to show the timings of salah. Tayyib. Now, and there are many dalal, many ahadith where Rasulullah explained the times of ahadith of the salawat, and we'll cover that later on in the durus. Each salah, when does it enter, when does it exit, what are the dalal. But this is a dalil that dukhul al-waqt, the entrance of the time of salah, is a shart from shurut al-salah, from the conditions of salah. Now, there are some exceptions. There's always a rule and there's exception. Tayyib, what about in Hajj? Can you combine salatain, 2 salawat, jam'a bayna salatain, in the time earlier and later? Yes. What if you are a musafir? Can you combine salawat? Yes. Even earlier than its time. Why? Because there is sabab. There is a qarina, as you mentioned, usul al-fiqh. But you cannot do it without reason. You can't just say, you know what, today I'm going to be a little busy during Asr, I'm just going to pray right now. Time of Asr isn't in. No. But if you have a shari'i reason, then you can combine. For example, rain. Can you combine salawat at home during rain? Brothers are nodding. That was a trick question. La. Why? Because there's no shari'i hukm for combining at home for rain. Can you combine salawat in the masjid due to rain? Can you combine dhuhr and asr? La. Why? There's no dalil for it. Can you combine maghrib and isha? Yes. Why? There are dalil for it. But in the masjid, not at home, and maghrib and isha, not dhuhr and asr. Can you combine asr and jum'ah as a musafir? La. MashaAllah, the brothers are good. When I used to ask these questions before, all the brothers were wrong. Now, mashallah, brothers are developing. Allahumma barik lakum. So there are some times, and you have to learn when you can combine, when you cannot. This is Sharia, it's not just guesswork. You have to be in the light of the Quran and Sahih Ahadith. Tayyib. The 6th, إزالة النجاسة, to take away najasa. طيب. So if you have something najis on you, you cannot make salah. طيب, easy dalil. I mean, there are, as I said, I could give you 20, 30 dalil. Get the books like Sharh al-Kabir or al-Mughni and things, you will find so many dalil. But easy. The hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam during salah, Rasulullah was making salah with shoes on. During salah, he took off his shoes. So Sahaba, they all took off their shoes. Ittiba', yani obedience to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After salah, he told them, why did you take your shoes off? He said, because Ya Rasulullah, you took your shoes off alayhi salatu wasalam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Jibreel came to me in salah and informed me there was something najis on my shoes, so I took them off. But you can pray on your shoes, yani you can pray in shoes. But what does it tell you? You cannot have najis on you in salah. Tayyib. So now that tells us that you have to get. Now, if you don't know and you have some najasa on you and you start salah, and when you realize you take it off, what is the hukm on your salah? It's good. We just mentioned the hadith. Do you have to make sujood sahu? No. Why? The Rasul didn't do it. But if you know you have najasa, knowingly you begin salah with it, salah is batil. Tayyib. Now, as an advanced question, if you finish your salah and afterwards you realize there is najasa, do you have to repeat the salah? No. If you finish salah and you realize I didn't have wudu, do you have to repeat your salah? Yes. Tayyib. Sitr al-Awra, to cover the Awra. To cover the Awra. From the ahkam of salah and the shurut of salah is to cover the Awra. I'm not going to get into a lot of khilaf here. Just going to give the ahkam for the brothers to practice. What is the Awra of a woman in salah? Everything except the face and hands. Clear hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept the salah of a woman who is baligha, ha'ida, yani she has reached the age of bulugh, except bil khimar, except that she has covered her head, yani, and the clothing. So what does that tell you? The face and hands can be exposed, where everything else has to be covered in salah. Tayyib, what about the feet? Tayyib, what is rajih from the hadith itself? Is there a hadith that says the qadamain can show? No. What does Rasulullah say can show? The face and hands. So that means the feet have to be covered. Now, if she makes sujood and the back of the foot gets exposed, this is past her what she can handle. But the woman, she should be all covered except face and hands. Tayyib? So that means if she wears socks, alhamdulillah. If her jilbab, her outer clothing covers the tops of her feet, this is fine. Now if she goes into sujood and the back of the foot shows, there is no problem with that. Why? Because that is past, and usually it will not, because the jilbab will cover it as well. But some of the sisters, they make salah in clothing that is short. Even when they begin salah, the feet are showing. Khilaf or no khilaf, where is the dalil? The dalil, Rasulullah told us clearly, the woman has to be covered except face and hands. Tayyib. So face and hands can be exposed from the wrist up, including the full foot, except for the bottom, and except for the face, everything covered. What if she's making salah at home, there is no man around her? What is her awra in salah then? Same. This does not have to do with your awra in front of a non-mahram. I want to clarify, because some sisters they say, oh, because of this, woman can expose her hands and face. Why niqab? No. This does not have to do with ghair mahram men. This has to do with salah. Even if you are alone in a dark room, in a dark house, and in the darkness of the night, and nobody can see you, this is still your minimum. Tayyib, what is the awra of a woman in front of a non-mahram man? And we're not going to get into khilaf, but what is rajih? We see that this includes the face and hands, especially or exclusively for the young women. As we see even from hadith of Aisha radiyallahu anha in ihram, she covered the face. Tayyib, and there is khilaf on this issue. This is not the point of the dars. But the point of the dars is the awra in salah does not have to do with men or women. Seeing you. That has to do with you standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tayyib, what is the awra of a man in salah? What is the awrah of a man in salah? Huh? The awrah of the man in salah is from the navel to the knee. Okay, we'll get to the shoulder. From the navel to the knee. Some of our brothers, may Allah guide us and them, they come to make salah and they're wearing pants and their shirts a little bit tighter or smaller than it should be, and they go into sujood, and mashallah, la quwwata illa billah, the moon is out. Tayyib. So what happens to their salah? I'm not exaggerating. Trust me. I wish I didn't know this. Tayyib. What happens to their salah? Batila. They're exposing their awrah. Some of the brothers, they play soccer, mashallah, and they come after soccer and they wear those little shorts and they start salah. Khalas, there is khilaf on this. But I'm not here to deal with khilaf. I'm here to talk about rajih. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sarihan, sahihan, he showed Sahaba that this is your awrah in salah. And the one that didn't, he told him cover it. So this is your awrah, men. And it's from the navel to the knee. It doesn't mean that in sujood and things, if your shorts come up halfway, you're like, I'm okay. Tell you, if a part of the navel shows, or a part of the knee shows, this is permissible because what's between the navel and the knee. But if a part of what is between shows, then this is going to invalidate your salah. Except if it's a small amount for a short time. Yani, if you're making salah, and maybe a wind comes and a part of your knee gets exposed and you cover it right away, your salah is fine. But this is the awrah of the man in salah, from the navel to the knee. We see some of our brothers, they wear very tight shorts. Such tight shorts they can't sit in tashahhud. You see them like this in tashahhud, sitting up. Miskeen. Not because they have some physical problem, because the shorts are so tight. MashaAllah. La quwwata illa billah. What happened to their salah? Batila. Covering the awrah doesn't mean you put saran wrap, colored saran wrap, and you're good. No. Some of our sisters, may Allah guide us and them, they wear tight jeans and a tight t-shirt, and then they throw on a little khimar like this, and they're making salah. Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam cursed those women that are covered but naked. And that tells you just putting cloth doesn't cover you. Some of the people of fisq and kufr, what they do now, they just paint themselves. It's not clothing. And some of the tight clothing is just like that. No. It has to be loose enough that it's not tight. Now, the shape of a man or woman is still going to be visible, because even if you wear a thobe and you go into sujood, you can tell where the legs are and things. We're not saying that. But it shouldn't be so tight that it is revealing every aspect of the body. Tayyib. We have two more, I'm going to cover them quickly inshallah. Istaqbal al-Qibla. You have to face the Qibla. Tayyib. If you, and the hadith sahih on this, if you make salah, when you made ijtihad that you're facing the Qibla, and you finish salah, and then you realize that you were not, do you have to repeat your salah? No. There is hadith of Sahaba, they made salah, it was dark, they thought they were facing the Qibla. When it became light, they realized they didn't. Rasulullah ﷺ did not order them to repeat the salah. Because with Qibla, you have to make ijtihad. Do you know exactly by the percentage and degree exactly if you're facing the Kaaba? No. And you try your best, right? But you need to be facing the Qibla. You can't just say, I'm just going to make salah. This is the way that nobody can see me in my university, so I'm just going to make salah. No. You have to do your best, and then if you realize you're not facing the Qibla during salah, what do? You turn. What is the dalil? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained Rasulullah to turn from facing Masjid al-Aqsa. During salah he changed. If you realize during salah you're not facing the Qibla and you continue the salah, you're like, I'm already started. Then, batala. The last, but maybe the most important, wallahu a'lam, they're all important. النية. النية. والشرط النية هي شرط من شروط الصلاة. The niyyah is a precondition from the precondition of salah. Some of the brothers, mashallah, they're talking, Allahu Akbar. And maybe in their heart they have the niyyah, they're fine. But if they just start Allahu Akbar and they don't even think about what salah they're making, إنما الأعمال بالنيات. الدليل from al-Bukhari. النية is a shart from the شروط of salah. طيب. Last thing, how do you make the niyyah? You go and say, Ya Allah, stadi para, salur rakat, farz, zohar munz, makhmid kibleta, pa mazhab de Abu Hanifa Allah. When you were little, they were taught like a script, you have to say a word. There is no script. There is no script for a niyyah. You do not verbalize the niyyah. The niyyah is where? In the heart. The place of the niyyah is the heart. What does it mean? You just make the niyyah for salah. You don't have to say, I am facing this and this rakah. No, but you should know in your heart that you're going to make dhuhr salah or asr or maghrib or isha, whatever you're going to make. You should know that you're doing it for Allah. You're doing it as an ibadah. You should know that in your heart. And if you make that niyyah in your heart and you know it, you're good. You don't have to verbalize any of it. And there is no script to memorize. This is what we know from the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm not going to go deep into khilaf and dalal and the discussions, but if you want to know all of that, look at our earlier durus. We've discussed it many a times, alhamdulillah. Wa jazakumullahu khairan.